A widow with 5 children, the beautiful Joanna of Kent had no shortage of admirers. It may seem strange that a 32-year-old woman in the 14th century could still capture anyone's interest, but Joanna was unlike any other. In fact, she set a precedent. She married Edward, the Black Prince, heir to the English throne. Joanna's fate could have been far less fortunate, as her father, Edmund of Woodstock, was executed on charges of conspiracy. The justice was administered by the favorite of Queen Isabella of France, Roger Mortimer. After the loss of the family patriarch and all his lands, the children were typically sent to monasteries. Who would care for the exiled? But the Woodstock family was lucky. Mortimer's star faded, and King Edward III restored to the exiles everything that had been taken from them. Joanna gained guardians, the Earl of Salisbury and his wife. From the age of 12, Joanna shone at court. Without exaggeration, she quickly became known as one of the most beautiful women in England. Her guardians began considering potential marriages for her, but she secretly wed the Earl's seneschal, Thomas Holland. The truth came to light when Thomas went off to war in France. Secret marriages were not favored in the English kingdom, and King Edward insisted that Joanna and Holland's union could not be considered legitimate. Who had given consent? Who was present at the wedding? And since there were no answers to these questions, Joanna was to be married off to William Montague. Joanna found herself in a very delicate situation. She was now the wife of 2 men at the same time. Despite Montague's nobility and wealth, Thomas Holland did not stand idly by. When he returned and discovered that Joanna had been given to another, he took drastic measures. He appealed to Rome. Pope Clement VI confirmed the validity of the first marriage. This settled the matter. Joanna returned to Thomas, utterly happy. After all, she loved him. Their blissful union lasted another 11 years, during which Joanna bore Thomas 5 children and inherited the title of Countess of Kent from her brother. This is where her enduring nickname, the Fair Maid of Kent, originated. The most beautiful and charming in all of England, wrote her contemporary, the French chronicler Jean Froissart. That fresh, undeniable charm I witnessed, astounded. One glance could conquer, and forever bind to its spell. The beauty became a widow in the year 1360. There is a legend that by then Edward the Black Prince had been in love with Joanna for many years. After waiting a little longer, he proposed to the widow with 5 children. Both the prince's father, the King of England, and the Archbishop of Canterbury urged him to take his time. Even better, abandon his plans altogether. But Edward only shook his head. If Joanna agreed, he said, then I will not back down. And Joanna agreed. A year later, she married for the 3rd time in Windsor. Since this union was very displeasing to the king, the newlyweds happily left the island and settled in Aquitaine, which Edward now governed, in the city of Bordeaux. Joanna gave the Black Prince 2 sons, the younger of whom, Richard, would later become King Richard II of England. But Joanna outlived her 3rd husband as well. Edward the Black Prince also passed away. The beautiful Maid of Kent held an honored position at court as the mother of a king, but she could not reconcile her children from her 2 marriages. There had always been misunderstandings between them, but over time, the situation worsened. When John Holland, Joanna's son, killed Sir Stafford, King Richard sentenced him to death. Joanna pleaded for mercy for several days, but Richard remained stubborn. Perhaps this broke the woman. She died. John Holland received a pardon. 14 years later, he would attempt to save Richard II after his overthrow and loss of power. But the conspiracy would fail, and John Holland would ultimately be executed.